Welcome back. This is Morning Express. Thank you so much for staying with KTN News. As promised, before we went on that commercial break, we want to take a look at the local dailies. So I hope you've grabbed a copy of your Standard or the Daily Nation as early as now. If you haven't, I promise you it's going to be a good one. But first of all, let's begin with the Standard. This is what we are highlighting this morning. Why a phone chat with Sonko is risky. And here, just to read a few of the things that, of course, on this other side of it, that explain some of the people who have found themselves in tricky situations with the governor. Rachel Shebesh, the former women rep here of Nairobi, during that scandal that she was with, says in a quote, "I don't know anything about the pictures. They are total fabrication. I have no links at all with the pictures." Our former deputy governor, and Nairobi still doesn't have one. Polycarp Igathe, your road projects are doing well, although there are some employees in the finance who are...
On the Standard, why a phone chat with Sonko is risky. And let me start first of all also by introducing the panel that we have this morning to discuss this. And to my immediate left, I have Honorable Kembi Gitura, who is the immediate former senator for Murang'a County. We also have Honorable Kipruto Arap Kirwa, who is the deputy party leader for ANC. Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us. And of course, the headline, why a phone chat with Sonko is risky. Well, according to him, in an interview that was held yesterday at a certain radio station, that is his way, his unique way, let me say, of fighting impunity. So if you call him and you have anything that you'd like under the table, make sure that it's not recorded. Let me start with you, Honorable Kipruto Arap Kirwa. A way of fighting impunity, do you buy that?
Well, I think that is part of impunity because how do you, if it's a private conversation, like he was to call him over a cup of tea, why does he suspect me that I'm likely to be increasing the pace of impunity within our society? I think there must be a certain level of decorum that if you are dealing with a colleague, you are able to discuss with a colleague without necessarily making him look so bad. Remember the case of Governor Waititu and Governor Sonko. It doesn't come out very well. Not that we have to hide what we discuss, but why must you expose third parties when you are discussing an issue like that? It may not be the best way, but we leave it to him.
You leave it to him.
Yeah.
Honorable Kempi Gitura, do you think maybe Sonko has a point? Because if you have anything to hide, then you will go on record. And maybe that's a way, because according to his argument, is that the only way to get somebody with corruption is to have evidence. And for him, that is evidence on the table.
What he's doing, in my view, is criminal. I reckon that what he needs to do is that if I call him, and he's a friend, if I call him, and the first thing he should tell me is that, listen, I'm going to record this conversation because I need to keep a record of it so that we can refer to it in the future. If it's a business recording, conversation, he must let me know that he's recording. If you call in a bank today wanting to make an inquiry, and you are put on
when they're doing an interview or something.
No. If you call your bank wanting to check many things, they let you know that they are recording that conversation.
For quality purposes.
For quality purposes, but we all know that it's more than just quality purposes.
Right.
So what Sonko should do is that if he is going to record you, he must let you know he's recording you. Otherwise, what he's doing, in my view, is criminal, and I wouldn't want to call him because I don't know how he is going to. The danger is also you don't know how he is going to use that conversation. You don't even know whether he's going to edit it. You know, like Photoshop. You know, people do Photoshop. Whether he's going to edit it and let it suit his purposes, so that the whole thing comes out of context. So I think it's a very dangerous thing, and I think it should be stopped. And I think it's high time that whoever is in charge of these things, well, I don't know whether it's communication authority, should let him know that what he's doing is not correct in the law.
Okay, but one would argue that if everything is above board, then really you should not fear.
Why should my private conversation be recorded? Why do people think that every time you call somebody it's about a deal? Yeah, we could be discussing very many things, And then, like I said, the risk of repeating myself, I do not know how he's going to edit that before he releases it to the public.
Okay, is there anything that bars him from doing that, according to the law?
I think it's illegal. I think I would like to check the law, but I think there must be something because there is privacy. My privacy is assumed that it is there, and I don't think anybody has a right to disseminate things that I do not want to be disseminated to the public. If I call you, I brought myself here, and the things you and I are discussing are public things, and I came here myself on my own 2 feet.
On your own will.
On my own will, so I've accepted, I've consented. But if I call you, Michael, and then you are recording me, I don't know how you propose to use that recording. Something is criminal about it.
All right, and well, would like to hear what your take is on that. Do let us know. Remember, you're welcome to participate in this conversation via social media, and the Twitter handle is the hashtag is at KTN News, Morning Express KTN, and if you'd like to tweet, it's at Michael G. Gitonga or at Zinzi_K, and would be more than happy to hear what you have to say in regards to that particular headline. Do you think Sonko is going against the rules, especially rules of morality, by recording and releasing those recordings earlier on? So we'll go to Zinzi for Zinzi to give us other stories that maybe we should highlight in the Standard.
All right, thank you, Michael. Let me bring your attention to one more thing that we have on the front page. It says, my handshake with Raila is still firm. That's what President Uhuru Kenyatta says. And he goes on to say that President says agreement is meant to go beyond politics and leave a country that is much stronger, more united and more focused. Allow me to throw my question to Honorable Kembi Giture in the aspect that, do you believe that the handshake that we saw between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, despite the fact that he's saying it has nothing to do with any political ties to it, do you believe that's the case?
All right, thank you, Zinzi. And before we even continue with the conversation, allow me to bring on board Honorable Joe Mutambu, who is a former Mwingi Central Member of Parliament. Thank you for joining us this morning. And as we continue, and political pact, there is none between me and Raila, according to Uhuru Kenyatta. This, of course, he made these comments yesterday. And allow me to bring you in on the conversation as the one who's joining us now. There is no political pact. Do you believe that there is no political pact?
It's easy to say than doing it. The politics is all about perception. And what President says and what Raila says, many people believe in them. And if Raila insists that whatever we have agreed with Uhuru is political, and Uhuru says whatever I have said with Raila is not political, then that divides the country further, my opinion.
Your opinion?
Why? Because the people who support Raila, they believe once Raila has gone to shake hands with Uhuru, of course, they expect, there are some expectations. Now, what are these expectations? There are expectations that their people will now be either included in government or something like that. And when God forbid, everybody is entitled to appointment. It doesn't matter your race or where you come from or your political affiliation. By the way our country is, if you hear the name of Kipruto Kirwa, you'll say, oh, Kipruto Kirwa was appointed because he's a Kalenjin. When you hear Mutambo, you'll hear Mutambo was appointed because he's a Mkamba. And when you go further down and analyze who is Mutambo, you'll say, oh, Mutambo is associated with Kalonzo. So you see, that kind of thing. That is what brings the conflict in the country. I want to believe President is sincere. But my opinion is not being taken as sincere. I mean, people are not taking him as what he is saying. The gospel is preaching is not spreading widely to people. People who are saying that some of the lieutenant of Uhuru Kenyatta are being sidelined simply because Raila came in, and it's like pushing them away.
Isn't it expected that with this kind of an agreement, especially because the two leaders went above, let's say they rose above the waters and decided to first of all make that agreement between the two of them, it's likely to cause jitters because it may work in favor of some and may work against others?
Exactly, that's exactly what I'm saying. It is working in favor of some, and it is working against some. And my fear is not today. My fear is in the future. And you know, in politics, and Kipruto is my good friend. Actually, I like referring him because we've been together, and and we know what it means in pledging or supporting someone. And then at the end of the day, nothing. Things change. At the, at the tail end. You see, if this bond of Uhuru and Raila could stay, and we make sure that it is just purely handshake, which is not geared to any political alignment, then it is a very good thing. But when comes 2022, and you see either Raila or Uhuru trying to move in one direction, that will change the scenario, not for the politics of this country, but the thinking of Kenyans, and that may bring a lot of, I would say, a lot of disquiet.
Okay, let me hear from Honorable Kembi Gitua.
You see, we're in a political world, and the question that Zizi asked me about the handshake, I think, is important for me to say that yes, and I've said this before many times here on this platform and in many other platforms, that the handshake has been a very, very big instrument in bringing the kind of thing we are seeing in the country today. Yesterday, we had a very important meeting of former members of parliament, and very many of them turned up at Safari Park. And it was a conference for us to blend and to get together and to think about how, as former members of parliament, we can help this country going forward. And the common denominator amongst all the things that we discussed of how we can help this nation, one of them is by supporting the handshake. The handshake is not just that act of Right Honorable Raila and His Excellency the President shaking hands. It is what it entails, what is in it. And what we found is that this fight against corruption, because corruption is going to be discussed in this country for a long time. What we found is that if we support the fight against corruption as former members of parliament, because remember that former members of parliament, and all of us here are former members of parliament, and each one of us has the following. So if you think that 390 people did not make it back to parliament last year, the elections, and 47 senators, they were replaced by others, simple calculation will show you that there are more than 11 million people who the former members of parliament have a connection with. People who voted for them, but they still did not make it, either because of rigging or for whatever other reason. And it is those people we want to reach out to, even as the currently elected members reach out to those that elected them. And then that way we are able to reach out to the whole electorate, because we must preach this sermon continuously against corruption. The trouble is that when Honorable Mutambo talks about disquiet, then we miss the point that we are not, Raila and Uhuru are not trying to reach out to people, to political allies or something like that. They're trying to reach out to the bigger picture, the citizenry. And that, fighting corruption, telling them, listen, it's not about Kembi, it's not about Kiro, it's not about Mutambo, it's about the nation. And if we fight corruption, by the way, if the president succeeds in fighting corruption the way he is going, it's going to be a major legacy. And it's going to change a lot of things. As I was coming here, the news I was hearing is about the old people, the 60 and above, saying that the 2,000 shillings per month is not enough. They forget that this is the very first time from the President Kibaki time that they started getting this money. They want it increased, and I have no argument to that. Maybe it should be increased to 3,000, 4,000 a month. But where is it going to come from when billions of shillings is ending up in people's pockets? Okay. So the point I'm making is that those old people, our mothers, our fathers, our brothers and sisters in the village who depend on these 2,000 shillings a month, it would be very easy to make it 3,000 or 4,000 if the money that should go to them is not ending up in people's pockets. That's the point I'm making, because we must put corruption in context so that people see it's not just about people saying that so-and-so is making money out of corruption. It is how much the opportunity cost that is lost because money is ending up in somebody's pockets instead of going to the greater good for the citizenry.
Honorable Kirwa, it is true that, or maybe let's assume that the president's words and Raila's words are true in that for them it's a bigger picture and it's bringing the nation together. However, we cannot ignore the fact that there may be those who will take advantage of that to their own good. And of course, depending on which side of the coin they fall, they'll either want to derail it so that they take advantage, or there are those who will support it because it works for them.
Well, politics is an art of manipulation, and all the time people will try to manipulate situations to favor them, and therefore we should expect people to use it for their betterment or to the detriment of their opponents. That is the way it is. But the way I look at this handshake is that we are looking at two basic things: that if I win elections, I shall be declared the winner. That's one. Two, genuine national integration and cohesion. If we can achieve those two, alongside fighting corruption, we'll have solved a big problem. And I don't know why we are double-guessing the president and Prime Minister Raila, because they told us we should hold them on their word. They have appointed a committee. We hope the committee is going to be funded. And upon their deliberations and engagement with the public, they will tell us what Kenyans want. Do Kenyans want the system that we have today? Are they happy? If they are happy, then so be it. We move on with that. So I do not really want to put a lot of fear in this particular handshake. I want us to support it, and we say, let us make it as inclusive as possible. Because I can see Mheshimiwa Mutambo may be worried because he has not been included. But we are all included.
No.
Right? Maybe he's one of the ones who are jittery.
No. You see, I want to tell my good friend that when I went out there to support Uhuru, I had no terms or conditions. Yeah. I did it wholeheartedly. And I believed in his, in his leadership. That is one thing. My thinking, and I want to say something here, which may lead a lot of fire. I want to think beyond mankind. You know, politics is segmented, and we do politics within a certain period. We do politics within 5 years. And my thinking is, what will happen in the next 5 years? Okay, these 5 years of Uhuru is very good. We are going to fight corruption. We are going to make sure that, there's tranquility in the country within the 5 years. And we are going to support Uhuru to do that. What happens after that? Who comes in power? Let's say somebody else comes in power and they are not, they don't believe in the handshake. What happens thereafter? And when I said I want to think above mankind, let me ask you a very stupid question, which I should not ask, but let me ask you. I am a bishop. If I'm a bishop and I'm out there at Uhuru Park preaching, and I'm telling people how we should embrace God and how Satan is bad, then I'm told, you know what, you are here. There is a handshake between God and Satan. I'm not saying that there's any God or here or any Satan there. What happened to mankind? What happens? You know, there are some questions you need to go beyond and ask yourself. And this is exactly what we're asking ourselves. Because Uhuru has his followers. Raila has his followers. Okay? I have to think beyond that. And after my term went, because at one point, allow me to say this, I may be wrong, or I may be perceived to be a bad person. But at one point, Uhuru's term will come to end. What will happen when Uhuru's term come to end? Do we have enough soldiers to push that agenda forward? Do we have enough people? Do we have people around? Kembi, will you be there? Mutambo, will I be there?
So are you suggesting, Mheshimiwa, that with Uhuru, once, even if the legacy is there, once he goes, the legacy goes with him?
We are living in this country. We've been there before. We've been having Kenyatta. We've been having Mwai Kibaki. We've been having Moi. And I can tell you, Kenyans, the way we behave, politicians, it is these people you see here. Today, I'm supporting Uhuru 100%. Let me tell you, I'm supporting Uhuru 100%. And actually, I can tell you, when I go home today, I have no place I can take water. Why? Because the same people, those people I was telling you that Uhuru is a good man, they were preaching against Uhuru. But now,
it's like everybody have said, okay, the Uhuru you are telling us about, where has he left you? The people who are fighting you are now the one who are rejoicing.
All right.
Why can't you take?
That is the problem.
Why can't you take water when you go home?
Sorry?
Why can't you take water?
Because people don't believe in Uhuru.
Then carry some water.
You see?
Carry some water with you.
I want us to look at the nation
That's what we need to do.
because we'll get to the state of the nation and we'll discuss this further. But Zinzi, what do we have on the nation today?
Well, Michael, the nation is running with a different story. Ruto, Waiguru fight Ipsos graft ranking. This is the story behind it. Ipsos did a survey and their names came out as the top 2 people within the nation that are named to be the most corrupt. Nevertheless, Deputy President and Kirinyaga Governor now want to sue Ipsos. They did about 2016 surveys and this is what they found out, which is on the Daily Nation, that Waiguru and Deputy President William Ruto are officially, in the eyes of Kenyans, the 2 most corrupt officials. Now they want to sue them. Michael.
All right, let's start with you, Honorable Kipruto Arap Kirwa. Is that an unfair aspersion on the 2 leaders?
Well, I think that's the opinion expressed by the 2,000 people who were interviewed. And I think it's scientific. And if it's scientific, we really must carry the cross. And I do expect the 2 individuals, really they should consult their lawyers very well. I don't think they really have any serious gravitas in law suing for an opinion that was expressed by people who, in their own perception, they believe the 2 leaders are the most corrupt. But of course, whether it is the truth, that's another story.
All right, Mheshimiwa Kembi Gitura, you're a lawyer. Any grounds for them to go to court? And this is just, well, people's perception. And they say perception is reality.
I don't know how the question was framed, because I'm not among the 2,500 people that were interviewed on this issue. But I don't believe that they asked the question, do you think Kembi Gitura is a corrupt person? I don't think that was the question. I think the question must have been something like, who do you think is most corrupt? Yeah?
And it's for them to come up with a...
Then I give my own opinion. And 2,500 people, I reckon maybe if you want to sue Ipsos, you may also want to sue the 2,500 people. So they may ask Ipsos to open the server so that they know who exactly was interviewed.
Yes.
It's a very interesting situation, because these are opinions that people have given. And Ipsos, if the result was different, maybe the arguments would be different now. But these are perceptions, these are the opinions that people gave depending on the question that was put to them, and then they give their own opinion.
All right, Mheshimiwa, your thoughts on this particular, survey?
To me, I don't think threatening to go to court is any solution, because I would say all these surveys are conducted and they are politically based, and anything said out there politically, I mean, you cannot hold anybody for it. And if Kenyans are feeling that one is corrupt, if Kenyans are feeling that Mutambo is corrupt, I think to me it's a challenge. Okay, and if somebody goes out there and criticizes me, I think it is upon me to ask myself questions. Why are Kenyans saying that I'm corrupt? Maybe I need to change my either lifestyle or the way I treat people or the way I do business or the way I do my things. So to me, I don't think I should hype it and go out there and say, you said I'm corrupt, I have to take you to court. No, I need to audit myself first before I get audited by Wanakirwa. Yeah, I think that's the way I would do it. Yes, that's what I would do.
And Mheshimiwa Kirwa made a very important point, which I think people need to understand, is that these polls worldwide are scientific.
Correct.
Now, if you say they were manipulated, then, in law we say he who alleges must prove. So because polls are scientific in nature, and some people ask, how come you ask only 2,500 people and not 45 million people who are Kenyans? It's because it's scientific, and the way they do their sampling is such that it's very representative of the 45 million people. So I think it's important for people to understand the science involved in polls, so that if you say it's manipulated, then it may be upon you to prove. It is not for Ipsos, Synovate, or for Tom Move to prove it, that it was not manipulated.
It's now up to them.
It may be for you to show that it was manipulated, or somebody paid for it so that it could come out the way it did. That it was not done scientifically, because if it's not done scientifically, then of course there'll be a breach again of ethics.
Of ethics.
Yeah.
All right, and gentlemen, we'll have to hold it right there in regards to the dailies. Please do get yourself a copy of the Standard and see what's making headlines. And at this point in time, we'd like to say goodbye to our KTN home viewers for a different programming to begin. However, right here on KTN News, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, it's time for us to look at the state of the nation. And today, we'd like to delve into some of the things that have happened over the week. For instance, there was an article where members of parliament want VVIP treatment in the House. We have political realignment. There is also our neighboring country, Uganda, which is going under, which has, Bobby Wine, who was arrested and apparently may have been injured. And of course, there is all that's happening in Uganda, so we'd like to focus on that. So for now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, it's time for the State of the Nation.
This is KTN News.